Sziasztok, srácok! Kismacskáink születtek, és nagyon aranyosak. Az 5 közül 2 meghalt sajnos. A felvételek, amiket mindjárt mutatni fogunk, látható egy halott kismacska, tehát a gyenge idegzetűeknek nem ajánljuk ezeket a képsorokat.
A hazai lösztalajokra jellemző virágok garmadája lelhető föl itt. Ezeknek mind az a létszükséglete, hogy hagyják békén.
About 7 o'clock last night, was it 7? It was 7, wasn't it? We thought, oh, it looks like the cat's ready to give birth, because she was making weird noises and she was licking herself and she was looking around for a place to kind of birth, and we'd read up and it said those are the things to do, and I've got a little bit panicked because we've been trying to give her a nest over the last few weeks and she just wasn't interested in any of the nests, so I set up a box underneath this table and tried to make it quiet. She got in there and it was fine, and then she got out and it was fine, and she's always kind of like trying to go into my room, so we went into my room and I tried to set up a nest for her at the bottom of my cupboard, and she liked that at first, and then she didn't. I set up a nest for her in my my suitcase, and I thought, oh, this is ironic. I've gone from traveller taking this suitcase over her to cat mum, like giving, like, this suitcase cost me a lot of money and the cat's going to give birth in it. But it's fine. If she likes it, she likes it. But she didn't like it. And then I set up a new one on the bed, and she just kept moving around, and she also kept trying to be near me, and I was just, it said on the internet, like, let her get into her nest and leave her alone, and I kept going away from her because I thought, oh, maybe she needs to be alone, but she clearly wanted to be with me. So in the end, I set up a nest for her in a room, in the other room, and I got into the bed, and I thought, you know, she can be in the nest and I'm in the room and I'd just go to sleep, because at this point it was like 1 a.m. And so she got under the sheet with me, and that's when everything started to happen, and she started making more noises, kind of like, she didn't really make that many noises, to be fair, but she did meow a couple of times, and they weren't like her normal kind of meows. And then she was like contracting, but it was like her entire body was kind of like, and in the beginning it was just like 3, maybe 4 contractions. Why can't I say contractions?
You can.
Contractions.
Contractions.
And like quite far, like quite, because I was like timing it, because I know that's what you do with humans.
You time the cat's
like,
contraction.
Yeah, I was like, oh, how long is it between them? And after like 2 minutes I was like, okay, I'm not counting any more than this. But by the end of it was like 15 contractions and like less than 30 seconds between contractions, and I was like, okay, this is it. And at first she was like by my side, then she was by my other side. At one point she sat on my back, and I was like, please don't give birth on my back. But by the end of it she decided she wanted to be between my legs, and then she did make another noise. Oh, and she was panting a lot as well. She was like really like, and more contractions, and then there was this kind of noise like this really kind of gross noise, and I knew that must be like one of the babies, and so she did that, and then there was more panting, more contractions, and then more babies, and then I could hear, because it was really dark by now, it was like 2 a.m, and I didn't want to turn the light on and disturb her, but I could hear her chewing, and online it said you have to make sure A, she gets the babies out of the sack, B, she cuts the umbilical cord, and C, that she licks the stuff off them, and I could hear her doing all those things, and you know, the panting had stopped and the contractions had stopped after a while, and I thought, okay, I'll leave her to it. So I went to bed, and then we looked in this morning, and they're just so cute, they're so beautiful. There's one that looks very much like her, there's a grey one, there's another one. There were 2 that we thought were dead. One of them is definitely dead, and the other one may or not make it. And I wanted to get all like 101 Dalmatians on it and like kind of rub it to life and stuff. But Thomas had a good point that like we're trying to do this in the most natural way possible, like on a bed between my legs, but still like as natural as we can. So if it takes, it takes, and if not, it doesn't. And you have to be careful, because you know, if we take it and try and feed it, the cat will like reject it definitely. So I think this is a good way. Like, a lot of people have been complaining to us that, oh, you shouldn't have kittens because there are too many cats in the world and they're going to kill all the birds. But if we let cats give birth naturally, the way they're supposed to, naturally some of them will die. Like, a few other people said we should have brought a vet in, and obviously the vet would probably know what to do with this little runty one. But I think to balance there are too many cats and they're killing all the birds, we can have, let her give birth as naturally as possible, let them die if that's what's going to happen. And I had a horrible flashback to, is it called House on Haunted Hill or Hill, how, I don't know, something about, it was this really good show on Netflix, and this girl has a kitten and it dies, and then she goes to bury it and she's looking at it and she's like, Mummy, Daddy, it's alive. And then this like bug comes out of the kitten, and because the bug is kind of making its face like look like it's alive. And then after that, she decides to become a coroner. Anyway, that's a good show. Planet is... we were talking the other day about how we should have kind of like how they have in Africa, like big safari parks where they have all the animals and they're kind of free, but they're protected in that big space. We should have that here in Europe for cats and dogs. Like, we should just, get them and put them all in. We should bring back wolves as well, so we have natural predators, and then there should just be a space that, okay, they're there and you can go there and hang out with them. Like, don't try and domesticate them. Like, we were talking about dog relationships and how like the symbiotic ones can be really good, but most dog human relationships are just kind of like slave and Stockholm syndrome. Like, for example, Duncan's dog, they had a really beautiful relationship and the dog was stimulated and it was kind of free to come and go as it wanted. It wasn't on a lead, blah, blah, blah. But like, then you look at a lot of other dogs and they're just kept as trophies or as children's substitutes, and people they want to spoil them because they think, oh, this is the best thing for the dog, and it really, it isn't. I think the way we look at animal-human pet relationships in general is just awful, and obviously the stuff that we feed them is addictive, it's full of sugar, and I mean, most people they think, like, we went to the butcher to get the cat some meat, and the butcher was like, oh, should you do that? Isn't that a bit cruel to the cat? Is it going to get everything it needs? And it's like, do you think it's getting everything it needs from these tinned foods that are just, are like big McDonald's to them? Of course, if you give it to them, they're going to eat it. It's like giving a child McDonald's every day. It's not... Anyway, I've gone off on a rant, but my point is, I think we need to relook at everything that we do about everything, so... I mean, animal-wise. That's cute. Tell him he's my new hero.